Hey guys, Wizard59 here and welcome back to a brand new video. And today we're going to be taking a look at a LEGO Star Wars comparison of the playset versions of the Slave 1. Now what that means is there will be no micro versions of the set and no UCS models. We're only going to be taking a look at the playset versions of the Slave 1. So there have been a total of 4 playset versions of the Slave 1. The first one, of course, being released in the year 2000, which is the one on the very left here. And the second one was released in the year 2002. That was actually a Jango Fett Slave 1, which was in terms with Attack of the Clones. You could see that right over here. Then the third Slave 1, which I actually do not own, that is the Slave 1 from the year 2006. Now, also a reason why I decided not to include it in this review is it is basically exactly identical to the Jango Fett Slave 1, except for the case that the colors are of course switched, and some of the hinge pieces, like these you see here, are actually replaced with the updated versions of the hinges, which are those ratchet joint pieces. So it's very basically very similar, so I decided not to include that in this review. And then lastly, in 2010, LEGO ended up releasing its most recent playset version, which you could see right over here. So in this video, we're going to do a cool comparison of the sets as well as the figures. What we're going to go ahead and do a quick review of each of the builds, and then go ahead and take a kind of comparison of the builds, and then also take a look at the figures. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Before I get started, I know some people are going to point this out. There were a couple of flaws with these sets here. And let's start off with the 2000 version. I am missing one of those guns, which I tried to find, but I sadly wasn't able to. The second, in the 2002 Slave 1, Boba Fett is missing his head, and that is kind of disappointing. I bought that set secondhand, and did not have it, which is a shame. And then the 2010 Slave 1, which I did end up buying when it came out in 2010, it did not have Bosk's body, which was a shame. So that was kind of an error by LEGO. Sadly, back then I did not know that you could easily order it online through their customer service. I sadly did not know that, so I never ended up getting it. So that's a bit of a shame. But anyways, after pointing that out, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started off by taking a look at the minifigures. Starting off in the 2000 Slave 1, you got 2 figures. The first of which is your classic Boba Fett. He is in the light gray color, and he also comes with a Han Solo and Carbonite. The headpiece, it's just a plain black head, and he has no back printing. So those are the figures in that set. In the 2002 Slave 1, you get Jango Fett here. A very cool figure with a bit of a dark purple arms and legs. He has a nice headpiece, same helmet mold as Boba, and he has a face with his kind of actual face printed on the back of this black head. And then here's Boba. Again, as I said, he is missing his head. Here's a look at his torso. Looks pretty cool. And then quick little comparison of the two Fetts side by side. You can see kind of a look at the helmet mold and kind of how they differ. Everything is basically identical on the torso except for the colors. And then here's again a look at the backs of the molded jetpack on their helmet. And then finally, in the newest Slave 1, we got 4 figures. We got, of course, Han Solo and Carbonite here. We got his actual Carbonite slab, where you can actually go ahead and fit the minifigure inside, as seen there. Then we have Bosk, who, as I said, is missing his torso, so I ended up giving a plain yellow one. Very cool figure there. Really nice headpiece. And then finally we have Boba Fett, who you can see right here. He's kind of updated, so he has no arms and leg printing in this set. This black pauldron, and he does have a nice headpiece. And then here's again a quick look at the 2 Boba Fetts side by side. So now let's go ahead and take a look quickly at each of the sets. Alright, so here we have the Slave 1 from the year 2000. Again, it's a very basic model. You can see kind of the scale next to this figure. So let's quickly take a quick bit of a spin around here so you can kind of get a look at all the different angles of the build. Again, it looks pretty nice. It's very blocky. Back then, Lego did not actually have many sloped or curved slopes. So they had to just stick with the regular slopes, and that's why the set maybe doesn't look all that great. But in terms of features, of course, the basic feature is its flight mode. So when you lift it up, the wings do fold up. So this is landing mode and then flight mode. It's a very, very simple design inside. Nothing too complicated there. Of course, the guns move up and down as seen there. You can kind of get a better look at the detailing. Lots of blues and whites kind of showing, reds. Not the prettiest model, but certain parts they were really limited by back in the day. Here in the corner, there's no kind of area for the Han Solo and Carbonite down here, but rather up here. So you just fold this down, take your 2x5 Han Solo, and you literally just place him like this, and he falls inside. And that's literally it. In order to release him, you just take him out like such. So a very simple design, nothing too complicated. You can end up opening the hatch here. It's kind of connected in two areas. And here's a look at the interior. So it's very plain, as you could see. The way you fit your Boba Fett minifigure, you can just sit him on this black studs here, like that. And that's it. That's all he does. So when he's in landing mode, he doesn't flip up. He stays in his kind of horizontal or laying position. But again, this was a very simple set. Not much to it. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the 2000 Slave 1. Alright, and here's a look at the Slave 1 from the year 2002, and this was a huge step up. They finally, of course, in 2002 had the curved slopes, which they added throughout the build. They kind of just fixed the overall design, made it much more accurate. So let's take a quick 360-degree spin. You can see a look at it from the side here. Here is a look at it from the back. Here is the other side. And then finally, here is a look at the front. So let's go ahead and get started. Right off the bat, at the end, we have these two blasters made with ratchet joints. So you can flip them basically 360 degrees. So that's pretty awesome. Here's kind of a look at the detailing throughout the build. I think it looks pretty good. Maybe a few more tiles would have been nice. In each end, we have a little compartment, which if you look here, does feature Jango Fett's hair. So that's a nice place to put his hair. He has an identical one on the other side, which features his pistols. And that piece is a bit delicate, so that is a bit of a flaw of the set. A little bit of a delicate set. Here's a look at this section. These hatches also just open up like this, and they reveal kind of a couple of bombs, as well as kind of the hyperdrive or engine. And there's no play feature there, they just sit there like that. Moving along, we have a second section here featuring a couple of blasters. Now my set was missing a couple pieces, including kind of the cone pieces, which would go on these blasters. So there's supposed to be 4 kind of cone pieces that attach to that. And again, they just come in and out. There's really no feature with them, so you just fold them in like such. Very simple play feature, nothing too fancy there. And there's one on either side as seen there. Moving along, this one finally has some space on the interior. So here you can basically see the interior, which isn't the prettiest. And then you actually have this section here, which opens up to reveal 3 kind of bombs, which again are just translucent orange heads. Moving along here, we kind of had the main section, and one of the big things they did fix is they made the kind of feature in terms of landing and flying actually work with the seat. So let's basically take the cockpit off here. This was a brand new mold at the time, I believe. And inside you have space not only for Jango, but for Boba as well, which actually is awesome. I kind of hated it that some of the figures could not fit, but you can even seat 2 figures sitting down if you really tried. but both figures fit in there. And yes, when you lift it up, it's in landing mode, and when it's in flying mode, both figures do sit up, which is awesome. Amazing printed pieces throughout. So the only stickers in the set are the ones which are here on the bottom. Other than that, these pieces, they're all printed, which is terrific. Again, the cockpit can fit like that. Then you can kind of get a look at the design throughout. Again, I think it looks terrific. So there is a look at Jango Fett Slave 1. Alright, and finally we have the 2010 Slave 1, which again is a huge upgrade. A lot of new additions, a lot of new things that they fixed, stabilized, and so on. So let's quickly take a 360-degree spin here. You can kind of get a look at all the sides of the build. And again, I think it looks really, really nice. And let's go ahead and dive right in. They finally added a new variant of the blasters, which move about 360 degrees. They do get caught a little bit with the slope, but you can just pull them out of that. And again, those are much, much better. On the side, you get a small little section which opens up with a bit of a box here. Nothing in it, it's just used for storage. Moving along, you have a nice play feature where you can open up these two panels and out come these really nice flick fire missiles, which you know how those work. You can just flick them and they fire, and then they go back inside, so there's one on either side. And again, that's a pretty fun play feature there. Moving along, let's quickly take a look at the bottom. They finally added a bit of a door here in the bottom where, yes, you can fit Han Solo in carbonite. He just fits right in there. And again, I think that looks pretty good. There he is. And it just closes up like so. So that's pretty straightforward. If you're wondering what this is also another cargo compartment. You can actually end up fitting all the armor inside. And what's cool is you can even fit the pauldron inside. So basically all of that clone armor can fit in there, which again I think looks terrific. Nice little sticker detailing on that. You get one on either side. And then finally, you can open this up. We'll show you this feature last. But this section opens up where you can end up putting a figure. So in this case, I'll just take Boba Fett, just remove his blaster, and basically what he can do is just fit on the tan plate you see right there. And sometimes it's a little difficult to place him on, but there you go. And yes, when he turns, the seat does as well, so the wings once again turn. A lot of detail on those wings, which is awesome. And yes, it has that same feature where the seat turns with it, so that's pretty awesome. And then again, the section goes right here. And then finally, the final feature is another flick fire missile feature. So basically what you do is here on the back, you can take this knob here, and when you push it, these flick fire missiles fire out. So it's a pretty fun feature that actually goes in quite nicely. So there's a look at that, and here we have the Slave 1 from 2010. Alright, so here's kind of a look at kind of the size comparison. Again, it's a bit tough to do so, but this is kind of the best way, looking at it kind of head on. And again, you can kind of get a really good look at the size of the sets. We'll actually go ahead and take a minifigure and compare it. So here's kind of a look at it with Bosk. So that's kind of a bit of an interesting comparison, so you can kind of really get a look at the size of the builds. Let's go ahead and quickly take a look at it from another side. Alright, and here we have a look at kind of the side view, so you can really see the size of the build here. This is actually a terrific angle to really get to have a look at the size of the build and how much they've really improved over the years. So here's kind of a look at that. Alright, and now sorry about the background, but this is the only way I could take the shot, but this is kind of a look at it head on in terms of its overall size. So you can see about 5 bricks between the 2002 and 2000 model, and about maybe a brick between the 2002 and 2010 model. So this is kind of a look, kind of get to a look at the height of the builds. And here's kind of a better look at both of the newer Slave ones side by side. So we'll do a quick comparison so you can really see the differences in the build. You know, all the new building techniques that were used. And again, I think it looks really, really cool. You can really kind of get a look at that. And why not, just for fun, here's a quick look at the 2000 Slave one, kind of the side view. So very, very different these three models are. Again, here's a better look at it, kind of the backside. So the backside's very, very similar. Both Slave ones had kind of the same technique used in the back, and kind of a bit of improvement. And again, the big thing on the side is the use of these curved parts versus kind of these kind of wedge panels. And then yeah, here's once again a look at it from the back, so you can see how that looks as well, or from the front, I should say. So again, a variety of differences, but a lot of similar techniques just throughout. So a lot of the same types of curved slopes are being used, except kind of extended, added a bit more detail to it. So there is a look at that. Alright, and here's kind of the best way I could really capture the length differences of each. So this one is significantly smaller than this. And even this one versus the 2010 version is about a couple bricks, maybe even 2-3 bricks even shorter. So definitely it's improving in size over the years, with kind of this one dramatically different than the next two. And then why not? Let's just quickly compare the two newest versions. So kind of the ones where they use only slopes, and you can really get a difference of that, kind of the overall design of that. And finally, we can just, I guess, compare the width a bit. So the Slave ones are basically identical, maybe no, they're basically the same width, both of them. This one is a bit smaller by about 2 bricks compared to this one. And then, you know, of course, the variety of detail. This section here is a lot longer than one over here. And then here's a look at the cockpit. So you can see you have very little detailing here, just a 2x2 plate, or 2x3 plate for Boba with the 1 control panel. This one has almost 3 control panels, as well as a 2 up here. And then I guess here's a look at the kind of cockpits. Same color, this one in the trans black, this one in trans clear. And then stickers on one, while not on the other. So there's a look at that. And again, I guess a better look at the front sections here. So variety of more detailing in this one right over here. And then again, just for fun, here's the 2000 Slave ones detailing. You can kind of see a look at that. But anyways, finally, let's take a look at the backside of the builds. Now, there isn't a really good way of showing this, so I'm going to have to go ahead and just hold them. Here's a look at the back. So just a few small kind of those modified tiles for the engines. This one has a lot more detailing for the engines. Same piece on the top. And you can kind of get a look. The design's pretty good. This is actually a very good section. So this part where the wing is pointing is also on this, but then it extends out a bit, which it does not on this. So there's a look at the backside. And then, of course, for fun, here's the 2000 Slave one's backside. 5 of those kind of modified pieces. Very, very simple on that. And then why not? Let's take a look at the wings. So here's a look at that. They fixed the wing design a lot better on this one. And then here you can see this piece here. Not that great. So that's that. And then here's a look at the 2000 Slave one's wing design. But anyways, there you have a look at the Slave one comparison. Alright, but there you go. So there is a look at the comparison between all 3 variants of the Slave one. Now before ending this video off, quick little analysis. Definitely 2010 Slave one is far superior than the other 2. They really were able to nicely design portions of the Slave one and then make it better as the years went on. So definitely 2010 Slave one far superior. Hopefully they definitely make a Jango Fett Slave one, a newer variant, similar to the 2010 one in the future. But anyways, there you go. So there was a look at the Slave one comparison. Let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed this video, a thumbs up would be great. And stay tuned for more videos coming very soon. So this is Brick was 859, and I'll see you all next time.